This next section is called social media bullshit. There's a lot of it about. But Poland has decided to take a stand and fine social media giants $2.2 million every time they censor free speech. And perhaps it's time for the rest of the world to start thinking a lot more like Poland. A new law is due to be passed in Poland that would fine big tech firms a staggering $2.2 million every time they unconstitutionally censor lawful free speech online. Now, whilst liberal governments in Western nations seek to fine social media giants like Facebook and Twitter for failing to remove so-called hate speech, Poland has decided to take a refreshingly different approach. And under its provisions, social media services will not be allowed to remove content or block accounts if the content on them does not break Polish law. And in the event of removal or blockage, a complaint can be sent to the platform, which will have 24 hours to consider it. Within 48 hours of the decision, the user will be able to file a petition to the court for the return of access. The court will consider complaints within 7 days of receipt, and the entire process is to be electronic. Now, the Polish Justice Minister, Mr. Ziobro, made clear that the legal initiative was designed to fight censorship, and Ziobro asserted that it wouldn't impact the right of people who have been slandered or defamed to pursue justice. We would like to propose such tools that will enable both one side and the other to call for the decision of a body that will be able to adjudicate whether content appearing on such and such a social media account really violates personal rights, whether it can be eliminated or whether there is censorship. This should be the model for all developed countries that value free speech, especially in the United States. And the irony is, no one has mentioned the banning of posts is reminiscent of what we are told only the communist countries do, namely China and Russia. Funny that, isn't it? Perhaps the reason is because all three are run by the real communists, the Zionists. Just saying. Well, it's 2014 again, and out comes Simon Parkes. Do you seriously think, with all the latest banning all truth culture pervaded by big tech, they would allow Simon Parkes to be promoted by all the clown agents like Robert David Steele, Sasha Stone, Alfred Weber, and the latest roadshow of distraction, Charlie Ward? Parkes, on one of his short pieces, I think it was the January 10th one, had 3.25 million hits in one day. That just doesn't happen these days without being promoted by the system. 3.25 million hits in one day. You know, there's people, I've been doing radio for 7 years, and they're never going to report those figures for this show. There's people who've been doing it longer, the likes of Alan James and Randy Morgans. And yet Parkes gets that in one day. That is being pushed by the algorithm system. Now, Parkes made several predictions this past week and none came true, which is a common theme now for alt media, is it not? And another extraordinary claim I heard of this week was that the Clintons were chopped up and delivered to various places around America. Funny that. As the same person who stated it appears to have developed loop non-memory syndrome, as Hillary died on September the 4th, 2016. Chopping up 4-year-old dead bodies and claiming that is current news? Really? She claimed world hunger would end on January the 8th, 2021, and it appears to all and sundry that was a failed prediction as well. Oh well, no accounting for the levels people will go to for clickbait, it seems. YouTube is next in the firing line. In their fascist Zionist wisdom, decided without any information as to why to delete our From Russia With Love +4 video. Why? Because it told the truth. But most of that truth didn't come from me. It came from a Zionist. So the Zionists are banning the Zionists now. Unlike Facebook, they give no reason and cite community guidelines. Is it community or communism guidelines? And those two words have become the new byword to cover their tracks, a bit like the National Security Act meme certain groups have cited to cover their own criminality. So I wish to thank Facebook and YouTube for their actions to ban or block our material. Why? Because they have proven what we state is near the truth is why. And sad and pathetic children don't like the truth. Weak people don't like the truth. Insecure people don't like the truth. And criminals don't like the truth. And all in all, this makes them weak, insecure criminals who act like children. Which is what this show has stated all along. I rest my case. THI is preparing another change to combat those who don't wish to hear the truth with a designated platform for the truth. We are going to build another website solely for the shows of THI. All in categories, year dated also. Some of the older transcripts, all with the keywords searchable for ease of finding specific topics within each show also. All the archives will go on there in categories as well. We will have a pre-recorded piece after each show posted on YouTube, and the link on YouTube to the latest show will go back to the website. We will no longer have full shows on the YouTube channel once the website is built. Only a link to the show back to the website. Facebook has banned us for the second time, first for 2 months, now for 3 months of automatic posts, which means the admins only can approve posts. And the reason they do that is, this then allows Facebook the opportunity to ban the group entirely based on the admin's choices. So if your post hasn't posted yet, it is because the admins cannot be around all day waiting to approve posts. It appears one of our admins has been blocked from posting altogether on Facebook this evening. This is what they do. MeWe is also playing up, hanging like a dial-up connection, comments going missing, delayed comments and access issues. Both Facebook and MeWe have been caught out by our admins, altering our numbers downwards also. Facebook's own figures confirmed that themselves. They are pretty stupid. Spreaker continues to falsify our listeners' numbers. In fact, we don't have any recording of our listeners' numbers, only downloads, which does not reflect the number of listeners. My Skype is being messed with as well as my phone, and what this all proves is we are over the target with our information and shows, and the child level people don't like it. Thanks for the vindication and the confirmation of our show. Then we have the next social media BS. People who were kicked off Facebook and Twitter for having the wrong opinion all moved to Parler. So Go Ogle suspends the Parler app from the Play Store. Go Ogle has suspended free speech social network Parler from its Play Store over its failure to remove, quote, offensive content, unquote. Again, very wide-ranging and vague that. Now, Parler styles itself as an unbiased social media and has proved popular with people who were banned from Twitter. But Go Ogle said the app had failed to remove posts inciting violence. Ooh. Did Go Ogle, Twitter, Facebook remove the violence of BLM or Antifa? No. Why? Because their paymasters paid for them to do just that. Apple has also warned Parler it will remove the app from its app store if it doesn't comply with its content moderation requirements. Now on Parler, the app's chief executive John Matzer said, "We won't cave to politically motivated companies and those authoritarians who hate free speech." The sheer desperation now of these tech firms to stifle free speech and free press has now reached hilarious proportions. I think it's hilarious personally. The child-level antics of these companies to stifle the public's free speech, control the flow of data to one group and against others, all whilst profiling and data mining the public, and in some cases worse, using the data to create fake fresh air tokens. But these are also dangerous times for many of us who are able to think for ourselves and not accept the alleged authority position on all matters. I often hear in America about the protection of the Constitution, yet see little evidence of it applying anywhere. Facebook, Go Ogle, Twitter and others have all broken the First Amendment right of free speech, and yet all were allowed to continue unhindered. Where's the Department of Justice on that? The Department of Justice should shut all those social media down until they comply. Trump knew of the issues surrounding main and social media, and then became a victim of it himself. And whilst I'm aware of the nests of vipers within his domain, something at least should have been done to prevent this fascist Zionist march. And the social media giants were not only guilty of breaking the First Amendment right, but also blatant election interfering. Again, where is the Department of Justice? With their bias reporting, filtering people away from certain sites and towards others. And yet, where's the outcry? Trump said for 4 years, fake news. Well, those of us in the alt media knew that as far back as the last century. It's not new. In fact, Americans were told in the 1970s with the Church Committee that the CIA employed 400 plus staff to run the news broadcasts. There are many solutions to be taken on an individual basis. Delete their apps, scrap smartphones, boycott certain products. And the reality is we need good people, not swayed by influence or money, to completely rebuild our computers and phones without Microsoft, GoOgle, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or the blockchain creating BitChute either. Free of dodgy search engines, free of Amazon and other conglomerate adverts, free of Bitcoin generating apps, free of CIA, NSA, and any other agency spying also. And the people have an inherent right to go about their daily business without the staggering array of items connected to technology that does everything except help them.